Hello, my name is Shehadeh. Today, my colleague, Dr. Eman Mahmoud, and myself, Professor Shehadeh, we will be presenting you with a TBLT video on task-based language assessment in an EFL high school context. About me, I am Professor of Applied Linguistics at the University. My research interests center on second language acquisition, task-based language teaching, second language research and instruction, and academic writing. I supervise master's and doctoral research students, and here's my email if you want to reach me.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. This is B. Eman Mahmoud, a language and literacy education PhD graduate from UA University. I taught English for more than 16 years at basic and tertiary level education. I am interested in researching task-based language teaching, task-based language assessment, L2 writing, reading, social emotional learning aspects, in particular learner autonomy. Here is how you can reach me through these emails, and welcome again to our research.
Many teachers around the world say that they use task-based language teaching, TBLT, for teaching. But how about assessment practices? Are they using task-based language assessment? Join us in this video as we explore the use of TBLA in a TBLT-based curriculum in an EFL high school setting in the United Arab Emirates. In the context of this study, teachers use TBLT most of the time, but they fall back on traditional summative assessments to assess students' second language learning and performance. And TBLA is not properly investigated or reported through research, as some researchers argue, like Gonzalez-Lored. TBLA research in ESL and EFL school context is very limited and very rare. So in the present study, we investigated task-based language assessment use and effect in an EFL context in the UAE. We also explored the teachers and the students' perceptions of TBLA.
Okay, so let's start our main discussion by defining task-based language assessment, which NAR is defined as the elicitation and evaluation of language use across all modalities for expressing and interpreting meaning within a well-defined communicative context and audience for a clear purpose toward a valued goal or outcome. In this regard, this task is defined as a task for assessment and learning that requires students to use L2 in ways that improve their performance, communication skills, and L2 learning. To implement task-based language assessment, we've used an experimental mixed methods design that collected quantitative data first through a pre-post test design of the TBLA intervention, which lasted 4 weeks. 2 grade 10 sections, 56 students were recruited. The 2 classrooms were randomly assigned as experimental and control groups. Qualitative data afterwards were collected through an experimental group's student survey with open-ended questions about TBLA and the intervention. Then the teacher was interviewed. So validity, reliability, piloting, and ethical approvals were considered throughout the study. As an example of a writing TBLA task, as we can see here, Bloom's taxonomy was used in structuring all the tasks. It is divided into 3 main levels of lower order thinking skills, remembering and understanding, middle order thinking skills of applying and analyzing, and higher order thinking skills of evaluating and creating. For example, the post-test task states, asked student, what is your opinion about using artificial intelligence, AI, in education? Do you believe that AI should play a more active role in education in the UAE? Why? Think about how this can be done. For example, suggest how to include AI at your school. So aligning the writing with the taxonomy, we asked students to state their opinions about the use of AI in education, which is lower order thinking skills, suggest ways to use AI in education in the UAE, which is more of application as middle order thinking skills, and justify their suggestions with reason, evidence, and argument as higher order thinking skills. And it's important to notify that the marking or rating of those skills was different throughout the tasks. For example, out of 20, lots had 4, maths had 6 marks, and higher order thinking skills was assigned 10 marks. Here we come to the findings. So quantitatively, the post-test comparison between the experimental and control group showed significant improvement in students' writing in favor of the experimental group. As we see, the experimental group scored 14.43 and the control group scored 11.26. SPSST test statistical significance was showed at 0.006. Qualitatively here, the student survey results showed that students perceived TBLA positively. They found it less stressful than traditional tests, and they found that TBLA enhanced their middle and higher order thinking skills like applying, analyzing, synthesizing, and the creation of knowledge. For example, a student named Nadia said, "I'm getting better from this in the writing the most, and I've learned from my mistakes." Mariam stated that the aspect that she liked the most in TBLA tests was the topics selected for writing. For the teacher, when she was interviewed, she showed that TBLA is a highly effective assessment approach. She found it promoting the 21st century skills and students like theoretical thinking. She plans also to use it in the future and suggests expanding it to all schools and grade levels. As she stated, students felt at that time that they were at the center of the learning process, not just that they receive knowledge, but they produce it as well. She also said that students encounter the same problems in their daily lives, similar to those in the test, so they suggest realistic ideas and solutions.
What are the takeaways from this video? We believe that there are 3 or 4 good takeaways. First, TBLA works well at EFL K-12 context, and there should be better alignment between task-based language teaching and task-based language assessment in order to enhance the second language learning. Like we mentioned before, many teachers around the world, and in particular in EFL contexts, they use task-based language teaching. But when it comes to assessment, they pull back on traditional summative assessment. So it's important to have this alignment between TBLT and TBLA. In addition to that, there should be teacher professional development programs. The teacher we spoke to and many other teachers we are familiar with and we know here, they follow task-based language teaching curriculums, although they mentioned that they didn't have any training on task-based language teaching and task-based language assessment. So teacher development programs are needed. And the final takeaway concerns the school administrators and the curriculum designers. These people are encouraged to integrate task-based language assessment tests in school assessment frameworks.
We finally believe that our research is one of the very few studies that have expanded the boundaries of TBLA research to EFL school educational context. So we also believe that investigating the potential of TBLA in EFL K-12 context makes a significant contribution to the TBLA research agenda, by implication to TBLT as an L2 educational framework.
And with respect to our suggestions for future study, we believe that more research into TBLA is needed at all levels and varied contexts. Like some researchers argued, like Gonzalez-Loret and Jafson, stated, although TBLA has received good attention in the last 15 years or so, only few studies have explored TBLA in a school setting. And therefore, TBLA is an important and fertile area for research on alternative assessment. Thank you so much for listening to us.
Thank you so much.